Record this. Segment 3, Gold and Black Live. I want to thank our sponsors, Triple X, on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929. State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com. All right, gentlemen, tonight, I guess when you're ranked third in the country and off of a couple consecutive wins, road wins, returning home to Mackey against a team you already beat, but beat them in overtime, and yet a team that lost, Nebraska, lost about 25 points at home earlier this week. Brian, I'll start with you. Just, again, it's attention to detail, and on paper, this should be a game that Purdue should be in good shape against. But what say you as you look to this one tonight?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think that when you look at the first Nebraska game, Purdue shot like hell. They turned the ball over probably more than they would have liked. Nebraska did a fairly decent job taking the ball out of Zach Edey's hands, and Purdue still led by 14 points in the second half. I think that was outlier shooting on Nebraska's part. I'm not saying that to take anything away from them. I thought they did a good job defensively, but I think that the matchups, were in Purdue's favor in Lincoln, and I think they swing back in Purdue's favor just as decidedly in Mackey Arena, on top of the fact that Purdue's got that one game of film now of Nebraska to figure out what to do. But if Tominaga doesn't rain a bunch of random threes, if the other guy whose name escapes me doesn't rain a couple of low percentage threes, he's like a 20-something percent three-point shooter, Purdue wins that game by double figures easily in regulation. And I just think that was Purdue's random scare of the Big Ten season. It's not to say there won't be more to come, but I think that's their random scare to date. Their reminder that it is a 40-minute basketball game and anything can happen. And I think you're probably about to bring up Ohio State and you're about to bring up Michigan, and that is golden reminders here that these are 40-minute basketball games. So, but you have to credit Nebraska for this game, the first game, because Tominaga, as I said before, and the other guy just kind of made shots. It's not like that wasn't anything other than good offense beating good defense, and Nebraska kind of riding a heater there. But I wouldn't think Purdue would be on upset watch tonight. I don't think you've seen a whole lot of indications in Purdue here where they're just going to phone one in.
And Mike, and when you're in this situation that you have a team that in Purdue that's coming off 2 wins, and yes, Brian's right. I guess Minnesota winning at Ohio State gets your attention. And Brian also mentioned the fact that Zach Edey, I think they held Zach Edey to 7 shots or 10 points, and Painter's talked about
from Florida.
Yeah, talked about the fact that Nebraska will try to swarm Edey, just the opposite of what Penn State did. How do you see that in terms of just defending him, and what's the best strategy to deal with Zach Edey if you're an opponent?
Well, I think every Big Ten game everyone should be on high alert. I mean, now the matchups definitely favor Purdue in this one from the point guard to the center. And I would expect Nebraska to do the same thing. As is going to be the case most of the season, comes down to how effective Purdue is from 3-point range. And is Zach Edey still being able to pass out of those double teams or triple teams or whatever swarm's coming his way? Nebraska just does not match up with Purdue inside, even when you get beyond Zach Edey with Caleb Furst and Trey Kaufman-Renn and Mason Gillis. They have a decided advantage against Nebraska as they do other teams. But Purdue's had some time off now. They had 3 games last week. I think this kind of comes at a good time for them to reset themselves a little bit. I mean, they feel a whole lot better going into this game than they did after the Rutgers game, going to Ohio State and going to Penn State or going to Philadelphia. So I would expect a spirited effort tonight. I think we've kind of hit the halfway point of the season.
Right.
And I think, teams kind of reset themselves a little bit. And I think Purdue knows what it has, and I think it knows what it has to do. They're familiar with the opponent, and I would expect them to win, probably going away tonight.
Yeah, Friday the 13th in Mackey Arena. I would imagine
well,
that with the third ranked team in the country, that it will be pretty prime in there tonight in terms of the fan base. Students, their first game, the Boilermaker, their first game back in a
Don't try to bring
long
a
time.
machete into Mackey Arena. They're not going to let you in.
What's that?
Don't try to bring a machete into Mackey Arena. They won't let you in.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Good game for a blackout, I guess.
Yeah, that may be true. All right, Brian, looking at the landscape of Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith. I mean, we've talked and you've written a lot about just the significance of what they've brought and continue to bring. Is that ceiling for Purdue as good as those guys will take them? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of other guys on this roster that are contributing as well. But how do you view just the really an amazing story of these two freshmen and putting that in context of what you've seen in Big Ten basketball over the years?
Yeah, Mike might be able to add more to this after I'm done with my opus here, because he just talked to both of those guys yesterday for a story for next week. But yeah, I think that as I've articulated it all season, I think Purdue is where it is because of Zach Edey. But none of it's possible if Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer behave in any way, shape, or form like freshmen. And I think that, there are certain things that I think are infectious on this team, one of which is Zach Edey's consistency. But I also think Braden Smith's and Fletcher Lawyer's confidence and their unflappableness, their buoyancy, their poise, their whatever word I can think of here. I'm just throwing them at the wall at this point.
That's all right.
I think that stuff really matters. It really matters. And I think when you look at, kind of the lesser issue of the basketball X's and O's stuff, when you look at what Fletcher Lawyer's been able to do in terms of shaking off shooting nights that aren't ideal by his standards and making huge shots, and when you look at what Braden Smith's doing sometimes offensively, where he's just got the game. He's just kind of a step ahead of everything. And he's doing such a good job in Purdue's ball screen offense, making the right decisions, making the right plays, scoring when he has to score. There's no way Zach Edey gets all those dunks against Penn State if Braden Smith hadn't shown Penn State on film that, hey, I'm going to score this if you sell out on Zach Edey. He just has the game on a string at times. He's just playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers at times and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that he's going to go on to have an All-America season here the rest of the year, but I'm saying to this point, he's been the best case scenario and then some. And they're both making threes. And, as Mike just mentioned, it really is as simple for this team sometimes as just making shots or not making shots, because the shots are there to be made. And, so often this season, Purdue hasn't. The last couple of games they have. And if Purdue makes threes tonight, good night and good luck, Nebraska, because, the whole reason that was a game in the first place in Lincoln was Purdue was like 2 of 1,000 from 3 or something like that. And, very quietly, Braden Smith is shooting like 45% from 3 or something like that. He's 6 of 12 the last 2 games. And, Fletcher Lawyer's starting to heat up. He's a 50% shooter since Big Ten play resumed. And that was the one thing with Fletcher Lawyer where he was so good offensively, all year, but it was just a matter of time before he started making threes. And, here it comes. He's 9 of 18 the last 3 Big Ten games. So, both of those guys have immensely bright futures, but they have immensely bright presence as well. And as I said before, everything Purdue's done this season, it's not possible without those 2 guys being, not just being ahead of the curve, but breaking the curve.
Yeah. Michigan State, obviously we can look ahead a little bit, even though after tonight's game, Mike, Purdue heads to East Lansing on Monday, Martin Luther King Day at 2:30. Is this and we don't know the results of Michigan State Illinois tonight, which will determine whether Purdue's in first place heading into that game in all likelihood. But just the landscape of the Big Ten and what you've seen so far, Michigan State has been impressive, though they lost at home to Northwestern, and they have a very difficult schedule upcoming. what do you see at this point in terms of who's most likely as Purdue's competition for the upper echelon of the league?
Well, I still think it's a free for all the rest of the way, but you're dealing with some injuries here where Tyler Wall's out for Wisconsin and they've dropped a couple games. He gets back. That's a different team. Michigan State probably is a bit of a surprise at this point, maybe a year ahead of where people thought that they would be in contention. And they get Purdue at home early in this thing where you could have a really jumbled a bunch of teams up at the top with 1 or 2 losses going into the next week, or you could have Purdue standing there by themselves, starting to separate because the schedule still kind of works in Purdue's favor here in the month of January, where you go from Michigan State, then you're at Minnesota, and I know it's a road game, it's Minnesota, but then you get Maryland. So I mean, Purdue has an opportunity here to kind of put some distance between themselves and the rest of the league. The rest of the league is very difficult. Does Illinois get its act together? Indiana looks lost and hopeless, but we've seen things change really quickly in this league. We're starting to count out Illinois, then they get 2 big wins. So it's Purdue still has to just take care of its own business here, and that starts tonight, but I think it ramps up on Monday, where that becomes kind of a very important early season Big Ten game to see how Purdue can control this race the rest of the way.
All right, Brian, last word as we close this segment. Anything else you want to add to the fray about the Big Ten?
I can't answer that question. I have no idea who Purdue's main competition is for the Big Ten championship. As I said last week, it comes down to whoever's playing the best in the last 2 weeks, and whoever doesn't lose to Nebraska. So
still relevant.
Both very relevant to Purdue right now because they play.
Or Nebraska it might be who doesn't lose to Minnesota.
Yeah,
as Ohio State did last night.
I think that the point Mike just made is a good one. This is an opportunity for Purdue here early in the season to not let it come down to those last 2 weeks, maybe build some separation here because the schedule does break a little bit favorably for Purdue. That Michigan State game's a big one. Both those Michigan State games are big ones, but the ones on the road are even bigger. So if Purdue can get that one, if Purdue can get the game at Michigan, I think those will go a long way. But I think, quite honestly, I think Purdue's true enemy has yet to reveal himself from a Big Ten race perspective, because I still don't know who's good. We're fairly certain Purdue's good, because of their body of work and how they responded to that first loss, I thought was telling. But at the same time, you're still a shot against Ohio State away from having lost to a team that just lost at home to Minnesota or lost on the road at Minnesota. Where was that game?
Is it home?
It was in Columbus.
Yeah.
So, it's, Purdue still, has some improvement to do. I think that's the point I'm going to make every time I open my mouth, is that, as good as Purdue's record is, as high as Purdue's ranked, Purdue is still in the midst of a process here. They're still getting better. They're still developing. They still have things they need to shore up. This is still the beginning for this team, not the end for this team. This isn't like, some teams in the past where it was kind of their silver bullet season. You could make the argument that everything Purdue does this season is kind of gravy in the big picture. Now, I know Zach Edey's time at Purdue is short here, but the way these young guys are playing, you obviously have some potential here these next couple of years, and this is kind of the start. But I think they're getting better and better. But in the meantime, there still could be some inconsistency that shows up here and there. All the more reason to get these wins right now while you can.
All right, well said. All right, guys, thanks so much for your expertise. We'll look forward to your coverage tonight, goldenblack.com. And I want to thank Triple X and State Farm agent Trent Johnson for their sponsorship. Also, Gordon and Mary at WLFI for helping put this show together. We'll have a lot more. We'll be on next week. Also, Mike Babinski will be one of our guests next week. We know that much, and we'll look forward to that as well. So stay tuned. We thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week with Golden Black Live. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you at the
All right.
big ballpark. All right.
Mike, I'll see you tonight.
All right. See you guys.
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks.